Hi, I'm Zach Laws.
And I'm Zach Moore, and this is episode, I've lost count, of Zach to Zach. And today I guess we're going to talk about Fast and Furious 7 and probably some other things, because there's not really a ton of things you can talk about Fast and the Furious 7.
There really aren't.
Well, what are your memories of the movie?
God, well, I remember going to the theater, and, I mean, it's hard for me to, really talk about a movie like that, because for me, criticizing something like that is just, kicking a dead horse. You know what I mean?
Well, I would say, it depends how you're looking at it.
Yeah.
The action, the three action sequences, or three or so action sequences that, make up the movie are, they're brilliant. They're, perfectly done. But, everything outside of that, the plot and even the acting, it's just it's all just in service of getting us to those big action beats.
Yeah, because if you really just think about the plot and try to pick it apart, it's pretty stupid. And the whole crux of the movie is that Jason Statham is out to kill them. He's this black ops guy.
He's this really big, scary guy.
Yeah, and so
I'm not sure what his job is.
Yeah, but they're trying to get a tracking device so that they can locate. Yeah, so they can find him.
Well, it starts out where you think the plots are going to find him, but really the plot is them trying to find this MacGuffin. What was it? God's Eye or something?
Yeah, like a tracking device where you can basically find any person in the world.
Remember they're chasing was it The Rock? No, Vin Diesel. The Rock, same person.
Yeah.
He literally has Jason's same characters. He's right there and about to fight, and then freaking Kurt Russell just shows up and is surprise! This is actually what this movie's about.
Yeah.
And that scene is really goofy because you see Jason Statham, he just runs into an alley and oh, we can't get him.
Yeah.
None of this the 100 soldiers who just showed up can't find him.
Yeah, he's just that good.
Yeah. Alright, I guess I should explain what I'm doing. I'm gonna try to do the sort of the same thing where they fly out of the airplane. But I'm gonna have to do it in this helicopter. I'm gonna have to try to get into the car as it's falling.
It is really difficult to fly this helicopter.
It is. Oh my god! Almost seriously, I might consider just pausing it because it might take me half an hour just to get this stupid car. While I do this, Zach Laws, what else did you remember about the movie? Sweet.
There's a lot of TNA in that movie. I remember that.
It is.
It's just not a lot. It's not very sexy. I would say that it's just a lot of
butts in your face.
And yeah. God, it's hard. It's hard for me to come up with a criticism or an intelligent conversation about that movie. You know what I mean? It's just because what am I going to say?
I think I don't know. I almost wonder why these sorts of movies even have plots.
Yeah.
Why do they even need this whole we know what you're there for. You're just there for art now. You're just there to be charismatic in between the scenes where we see stuff explode.
Yeah. It's not like I can say I find this to be detrimental to society or to filmmaking because
it was fun.
Yeah.
And it's technically it's a well-made movie.
Yeah.
The way the action beats are constructed are really good. The bit where they're jumping from skyscraper to skyscraper, which I'm gonna try to do later, which isn't gonna work. I'm gonna try to do it anyways. That's really good. It's really well set up, and it's oh shit, they're gonna do it. Oh, it's gonna be in the trailer. And then they're going through the other building, and they keep going. And you're wait, they're gonna do it again. Oh shit! And then there's that shot of it flying in front of the sun. And it's cool.
Yeah.
And then it just cuts back to ludicrous being whoa. Funny jokes.
Yeah, all the comedy stuff with Tay Diggs is just cringe-inducing. It's like, I'm the funny guy.
I'm the laugh track of this movie. Comic
Yeah.
relief.
Yeah.
Okay, now let's get back to the action.
Oh man.
What did you think of the Paul Walker tribute at the end?
I mean, that felt like something that should play at Cinecon, but you know, like I guess it made me sad.
Yeah.
You know, that whole thing of what happened with him is just, you know, it's always sad when someone dies that young. I just wish that he had told the guy driving to slow down. You know.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I'm not
gonna
bash him. You know.
Yeah, I mean, he seemed like an alright guy.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird. It's weird when celebrities die and people are sad, and it's like, I didn't like know him.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of people died on the same day, probably. And
yeah.
That's also like, why is it more sad that this famous person died than like somebody's grandma across the country? I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's because your grandmother across the country couldn't drive a car drop a car from a helicopter.
No, that's a good point.
Yeah.
My grandma probably could not do some awesome stunts.
Uh-huh.
So, point Paul. But I kind of saw that ending. It was more like, it's more of a send-off, since they couldn't have his character in the movies. It was more a send-off to that character.
Yeah.
Than anything else than, like, Paul Walker.
Yeah.
Even though they're kind of the same person, I don't know.
I mean, it's a little of both when you think about it, because I think there's, like, that moment at the end where Vin Diesel stops being the character and starts being Vin Diesel. Because some of it just, it feels out of place, you know what I mean? Like, in the context of the rest of the movie. And granted, it's not like they could have gone back and retroactively filmed scenes that would have better led up to this moment where they have to say
it's not like the
goodbye.
actors were, like, playing characters. Like, they're pretty much actors are characters.
Yeah.
Vin Diesel's playing Vin Diesel.
Yeah.
Paul Walker's playing Paul Walker.
It's so absurd to me to think about how, the first Fast and Furious movie was like about street racing criminals, and now it's like we need them to save the country from terrorists.
It was kind of funny when they showed that, like, Paul Walker, like the montage. There it goes.
Wow.
And they showed the clips from another movie, and it's like they're completely different movies almost.
Yeah.
Okay, well that didn't work really at all. The movie's completely unrealistic. Can't do it in this perfectly realized video game, then it wouldn't happen in real life.
The thing I can say about it is, like, at least it plays by its rules, so to speak. I mean, it's ridiculous from the get-go. It's not like they're trying to make serious drama out of it, which is what I like in movies, even action movies. Which is why I'm excited for Mad Max.
Yeah.
Which someone described as Grand Theft Auto as reimagined by Hieronymus Bosch. So.
I almost don't want to. I want to, like, save everything about Mad Max until I've seen that movie.
Yeah, I haven't read a single review. The only thing I read was like a headline.
I saw one review that was like, "This is the best thing ever," and I was like, "Okay." Like,
I read one headline from a colleague of mine that said,
Alright, I'm going to recreate the scene where he drives off the mountain backwards.
But it said Oscars that Mad Max should win. And I mean, it was completely serious, it wasn't like...
If there was a stunt Oscar, which there should be.
There absolutely should be, yes, and I think that maybe that movie...
It would probably win.
Yeah, with all which we need to stop now because we're at the 10-minute mark, but we should talk more about...
No, we can...
We can talk more?
This camera, I'm using...
Oh, right.
A different secret camera.
Right, yes.
That can record for 20 minutes.
That's right, yes.
So we could just go all day.
Yeah, I mean, it's... Of all the Oscars that they don't have, stunt performance. And I guess because so much of it is CGI now, maybe that's why they haven't.
Well, I think they think of... I feel like it's that... And also, because I feel like stunt performers are kind of like... they're sort of on the same level as like Grips and Electrics.
Uh-huh.
So they're not like artists; they're like people doing their job, which
Right.
I disagree with.
I disagree too,
But I
especially
feel
like
that's how they're seen.
when you look at something like Mad Max, where so much of it depends on. I say without having seen the movie, but we should talk about this.
I mean, you can even say it like they did a ton of those stunts for real
in Fast and Furious 7, yeah,
like I saw a picture like when they jumped the car out of the building. They didn't actually jump the car out of the building, but they did. They had a car and they had like a fake side of the building.
Uh-huh.
And they drove it through that for real.
yeah.
Like a guy did that.
And I mean, in this day and age, even the SAG Awards have a category for stunt performances. You know, so I feel like it's about time to have that category at the Oscars. It's not as if they're opposed to change. I mean, the last category they added was the animated feature one in 2001. They haven't added another category since then. But that and the other one that keeps getting advocated for is outstanding casting.
That's true. I
Yeah.
think I've heard that too.
Because
Makes sense because that's another thing that like makes or breaks your movie.
Yeah. Well, casting directors are able to vote for the Oscars, but they don't have their own category, which is bizarre.
And it's another like creative position basically. Like it's not like moving stuff around.
Yeah.
Okay. Now I'm gonna try and jump this building.
So do you want to talk about the Emmys, which I've been immersed in as of late?
Okay. Tell me
Television?
about the Emmys.
All right. So this is my
you
first.
know more than me.
This is my first year covering the Emmys, so I've been doing a lot of research into it and a lot of TV watching. And I tell you, I'm glad that we have the Emmys because writing about movies this time of the year can be really depressing. I've seen a handful of
this is a product made to make $1 billion, and it was kind of like a little bit of the art came through, so that was nice. But it was mostly just let's see how many buildings we can knock down.
Yeah, I've seen a handful of
Look
movies
how fast
so
our
far.
computers are.
Yeah, I've seen only a
they can
handful of movies so far that I really loved from this year, and then the rest were like either like Furious. Everyone's like, well, I don't mind that, or
It did its job.
yeah, you know what I mean, like, or
It's a fun action movie.
Yeah.
I liked it.
so
I liked it more than Age of Ultron, which you haven't seen.
I haven't seen him. I don't know if I will.
I don't think you need to.
Thank you. I'm so sick of these. Speaking of that movie, and I say this without having seen the movie, but I think I've seen enough Marvel movies to hold an opinion about them.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just sick.
That was what I was feeling when I watched it. I was like, I mean, there were parts I didn't like, but there's nothing like actively bad about it.
Yeah.
It's mainly I was just like, I've seen this before.
Exactly.
I know what's gonna happen. I know all the beats.
Yeah. I've seen maybe 4 Marvel movies, and that's being generous, that I really liked. I really liked the first Iron Man.
First Iron Man's good.
Yeah, and I really liked the first Captain America.
Did you see the second Captain America?
I did. We saw it together.
Oh, we did, yeah.
And I liked that one. And I even liked the third Iron Man.
I feel like, those were the best.
Yeah, everything else.
You never saw Guardians of the Galaxy, did you?
I didn't know.
I would say that one's worth seeing.
Yeah.
It's good.
Alright, I'll see it.
It's worth seeing sometimes. If it comes up on Netflix.
Yeah. But the rest of them they just feel like commercials for other movies.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I mean, like, I think a part of it is that they try to get people who...
Well, that's what they... Yeah.
Yeah.
It's more about... Oh, come on. It's more about getting you excited for the... Like, it's all about getting you excited for the next movie, so you pay to see that movie, and then you're, okay...
Yeah.
Like, well, that kind of sucks. But I'm excited for the next movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like, well, that was okay, I guess. But oh man, the next movie's gonna be the best.
Yeah.
It's like it kind of does get tiring after a while.
I mean, the first Thor was a bad movie, but the second one
was alright.
I mean, it was.
I don't mind it.
It was bad, but at least I think that because they had hired Kenneth Branagh, I guess he was trying to do something.
I guess
different.
I mean, it wasn't a great movie. I guess I'm just remembering the good. Like Chris Hemsworth is pretty good.
Yeah.
He's funny in it.
The second one was just about
that's mainly it.
Was like,
yeah. The second one felt like it was like the special effects looks like it was done like After Effects.
Mm-hmm.
Like it looked like it was shot on like a TV budget.
Yeah.
It's like if I'm gonna see a huge budgeted big blockbuster, it better look like pretty big and fancy.
Well, the director was Alan Taylor, who's one of the Game of Thrones guys.
Well, what's going to be, who's the...
Patty Jenkins.
Patty Jenkins.
Who did Monster. And they fired another woman from from Wonder Woman. But that's DC, I guess. I don't know. I can't keep it.
And they replaced her with Patty Jenkins. Which
Yeah,
is totally...
that's right.
They're like, oh, we just thought she was best for the job, and not just...
Yeah.
I have to focus. Oh my god, I don't want to drop this. If I drop this, I would suck so hard.
But getting back to the Emmys. So the Emmys have changed their rules. They're going to allow up to 7 nominees in each category for drama series and comedy series. And the acting nominees has always been 6, but they're going to allow it to be 7 if a certain performer gets a certain amount of votes. So, as I was saying earlier when we were off camera, the last time that a show from one of the big 3 networks won for Best Drama Series, and the big 3 networks being ABC, CBS, and NBC, the last time a show from one of those 3 networks won was Lost. And the last time a show won from Fox was the year after on 24. So those are the 4 big networks. So every single... Huh?
Are you ready for this?
Yes, I'm ready for this. So he's trying to drive the car through a building.
Oh, I'm gonna make it. I'm so close. This is totally gonna work. I'm totally not falling to my death.
Oh. Well, granted, the buildings in Furious 7, I guess, were
They were
closer
closer together. Not fair. Okay. Perfect landing.
But since then, it's all been shows from AMC or HBO or Showtime that have won.
I got one more trick up my sleeve. So
Yeah.
Tell me more about the Emmys.
All right, so basically, as I was saying before, the last time a show won from one of the 4 major networks was 24. Back in 2004, I think.
This was for drama.
Yeah, this is for drama. Now, you contrast that with comedy series. The majority of the winners have all been from ABC, CBS, or NBC.
So what do you think why? Why do you think this is?
I think that they think of comedy in a more traditional way. If that makes any sense.
So that's why, like, Adult Swim or Venture Brothers is never going to win.
Right. Well, they've got their own category in animated series.
That's true. That's why, the live action Adult Swim show, Relocated, is never going to win.
They've never had a show nominated.
Or no, Tim and Eric. That's why Tim and Eric.
Oh well, that's the reason why Tim and Eric's never going to win the Emmy.
Sure. I feel like Tim and Eric basically more or less invented it kind of comedy.
It did.
Like
yeah.
you see so many things, and you can tell people are like, "We want a Tim and Eric type thing."
Right.
Or I'm probably wrong in saying that they invented it. They like made it popular and mainstream.
I would agree with you, but
so they're kind of like, I feel like they're almost like comedy trailblazers.
That's very true. I think it's just the fact that they didn't invent a kind of comedy that people who vote
it's
for Emmys
weird
like.
and new and different.
Yeah.
Not always clear it's funny. Also, check this out. It's Paul Walker's death car. Driving off into the sunset.
Also, you have to take into account the fact that something like that is not going to have much of a budget for an Emmy campaign to begin with, and it's not. It's not. It's like.
Also, I'm sure they don't care.
Yeah, like it's not.
But yeah.
You don't make shows like Tim and Eric to win Emmys because it's just not going to happen. Like I guess an equivalent for the Oscars would be something like Furious 7 having a Best Picture campaign.
Which I thought that was kind of goofy because people are like seriously like this is probably better than a lot of the good movies. It's like no, it's not.
Yeah.
Like the acting, like it's just charismatic people hanging out, and then in between, they have cool action sequences.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Speaking of which, how about that final action sequence? I'm gonna replicate.
Yeah.
Where it's just like they're driving around downtown LA, and it's just like
for the last hour of the
the
movie.
last hour.
Yeah.
That was so long.
Yeah.
It's like that was insane. Yeah, can we create the my favorite part of the movie? When The Rock
drives over an ambulance.
He's driving in an ambulance, and then it's gonna be hard to set this up. This is the punchline. Basically, when The Rock drives an ambulance off a bridge into a drone, like that was well set up. It was just
although how he knew that drone was there.
He's a Greek god.
Yeah.
Basically in that movie. When he just flexes his arm cast off.
Yeah.
I was thinking this today. The Rock is basically, he's the modern version of Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah.
Because he's this like ridiculously buff dude who didn't get into acting by like normal channels. He did it like Arnold Schwarzenegger was a bodybuilder.
Yeah.
Rock was a wrestler. But they did it. I feel like they both got hired because they were like giant dudes and they could play. Like, we need a giant imposing dude in our movie.
Yeah, The Rock's first movie, correct me if I'm wrong,
was The Mummy.
Yeah,
The Mummy Returns.
Yeah, where he had like 5 minutes of screen time.
And most half of that was he was computer generated.
Yeah, but he got second billing.
The goofiest computer generated monster.
Yeah. But I like The Rock.
He is, well, like Arnold Schwarzenegger, he is like a ton of charisma and he's like comedy chops and he's actually funny. Like both of them, I feel like they kind of like snuck their way in. We're actually like good bankable action stars. Like, they're fun to watch.
Yeah.
You know, they make kind of the same type of like big action movies.
But getting back to the
We're talking about the Emmys Act laws.
Now, the funny thing is, though, I mean, that being said about network TV comedies always winning, Modern Family's been the one that's won for 5 years straight. And that and Big Bang Theory were the only two network TV shows that were even nominated in that category. The rest were all cable. And I don't think The Big Bang Theory will even get nominated this year. Because I think that they've got enough shows. I think that Transparent will probably take its place.
Have you seen Transparent?
I'm sad to say I haven't yet. Have you? Well, I need to watch it.
Transparent?
It's on Amazon. Yeah.
Is it just like you buy it like you would buy any other show?
Well, Amazon has gotten into original programming now. And so that's their first foray into it. But it's really, it won the Golden Globe, and Jeffrey Tambor is the front runner to win his very first Emmy for lead actor in that show. And
how long has he been acting?
For a long time. He was nominated for Larry Sanders, and he's nominated for Arrested Development, and he's never won an Emmy. And he's the front runner this year, and I think it has a lot to do with the fact.
Is he nominated? Wait, did you say
it hasn't? The nominees haven't come out, but he won the Golden Globe for that.
But do you think it's going to be nominated in comedy? Because I thought it was more of a dramatic show.
It'll be nominated in comedy because it's a half-hour program, and because it veers more towards comedy, if that makes any sense. It's won the Directors Guild Award for comedy directing. It won the Golden Globe for comedy series, so it'll compete for comedy. You know, it's about a subject that's been very much in the news lately, which is transgender. Yeah, transgender
I wonder,
rights.
like, I feel like just recently I've been seeing a ton of stuff about, like, that issue.
Yeah, well, Bruce Jenner is certainly.
I guess, yeah, that's true. Even, like, even before he sort of came out.
Yeah.
I feel like I was reading a lot of stuff about, like, trans issues.
Well, there's all this stuff
that I had no idea was even
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's been, it started with, there's been a lot in the news right now about gay marriage. And certainly transgender rights fall into that. You know, because they are marginalized too. Um, but I think that transparent has a relevancy. I was at the DGA Awards, and I forget her name, but she was one of the directors of Transparent. She won the DGA Award. And she was talking about it backstage, and I'm totally paraphrasing here, but the gist of what she said was, the reason why we cast Jeffrey Tambor in that part is because he's somebody that everybody knows, because he's been around for so long, and that is the thing. That's why I think it's so hard for people to accept transgender people, because I think a lot of people just don't know someone who is transgender.
And I think a lot of times, and it's like, or they don't know that they know.
Exactly.
Because it's like, because of like all the violence and stuff.
Yeah.
It's like, it's safer to be, like if you can pass for, I guess whatever you're trying to pass as, it's safer to do that than to be openly like,
I'm a
I was born
transgender.
a man, I was born a woman.
Yeah. That's true. I mean, I remember, when I was working at ArcLight, there was a transgender employee there, and there were a lot of people who weren't okay with that.
Like
coworkers,
coworkers or customers.
Coworkers. Well, I don't know. I don't give a fuck with customers. Couldn't care less. But there was the coworkers who said,
dumb idiots.
There was a big to do about, it was a man who was becoming a woman.
I think the correct way is, it's not a man becoming a woman. It's a woman who was born biologically a man.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Somewhat, it's tricky.
Yeah.
But I feel like I've read so much stuff, and it's tricky to get it right. But
Right.
I think that's the right way to think of it.
But it was someone who was transitioning. She was still transitioning, and so she had
mentally she was a woman, physically she was a man.
Yeah, so she had some qualities that were like 5 o'clock shadow, And so there was a big to do about, well, should we allow her to clean the women's restroom?
Do they not allow men to clean the women's restroom?
No. Just like they don't allow women to clean the men's restroom. But during the day is what I'm talking about. During business hours, not like janitors.
When it's closed,
yeah. Or like there are people who said, "Oh, that's gross. Why would anybody want to do that?"
Transition or clean the women's restroom?
Well, no. Cleaning the women's restroom was okay. Transitioning to a woman was what was sick. Cleaning up other people's shit was completely fine.
That's understandable.
Yeah. I mean, I remember people would always just, when they would meet her, they'd say, "Is that a man or a woman?" And well,
it's like, why do you care?
Yeah, why do you care? And that's like with Bruce Jenner. All these people who were like making a big to do about it. It's like, I think the reason, people said, well, it's not like it was that big of a deal. And it's like, well,
to you.
Yeah. Well, I think the fact that people made a big deal about it is why it's a big deal.
I mean, it was a big deal.
Yeah.
Sorta.
It's like, it shouldn't be.
It shouldn't be a big deal.
And that's why it is what I'm trying to say in a roundabout way. But like that's. So anyway, I think that's why Transparent would do well, and may even win. Certainly win for Tambor.
It's sort of capturing the zeitgeist.
Yeah. The other thing is, whether or not the upcoming election would benefit shows like Veep, which has never won for comedy series, but has consistently won for Julia Louis-Dreyfus.
And he's consistently good.
Yeah, and Tony Hale has won. But also House of Cards, which had a big showing in its first year at the Emmys. And has been nominated consistently, but hasn't really won anything. The question is like, now that Bryan Cranston's gone, could somebody like Kevin Spacey win for Best Actor?
I feel like Kevin Spacey's performance is so goofy and over the top. I guess he might win because people like him.
Yeah.
And it's not a bad performance. It's just goofy and over the top.
Well, that's what's great about the show, I think, is that you watch the show because you want to see him being evil.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I guess it's a compelling performance.
Yeah.
It's fascinating to watch him. Like, my thing with watching the show is I feel like he's sometimes in a different show as everyone else. Like, everyone else is in, like, a serious show. Like, what are we going to do about this real issue in Iraq?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know about that.
I'm the president.
I reckon, and he's just like...
Yeah,
what is it, the bad guy from Wild Wild West?
Yeah, but that's what I love about the show, and what I love about his performance is that he is so...
He's committed to it.
Yeah, and you root for him. That's the thing. Like, I think that there's an appeal to characters like him, or Walter White, who's not
check it out.
Well,
driving off into the sunset,
just like Paul Walker.
Like Paul Walker.
But people like him, or James Gandolfini, who in The Sopranos, there's like a constant sense of what are they going to do next. I honestly I think the race for John Actor is between him and John Hamm in his last year of Mad Men. But as I've learned about the Emmys, they're not very sentimental when it comes to rewarding people for their last seasons. They never rewarded Steve Carell for The Office. They never rewarded...
Did he never win an Emmy?
Nope, never won an Emmy. Hugh Laurie never won for House.
He won the Emmy in my heart.
Yes. That's why I really wanted him to win the Oscar, because it's like, well, I never won an Emmy, but here's my Oscar. Andy Griffith never won an Emmy.
In the sand with his family at the end.
Yeah. Although you look more like The Rock.
Hey. I like The Rock, maybe a little bit of Vin Diesel.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit of Ludacris. He's like a combination of all the Fast and the Furious gang.
No Michelle Rodriguez, though.
Not really, yeah.
Or the Asian guy who died in the first scene, but you didn't even really see him get killed.
Oh, yeah.
But it's a big deal that he died.
It's such a goofy, continuity.
Yeah.
They were like, wait, we have to work this in with, because I guess he died in Tokyo Drift.
Oh,
and he was a popular character, so they're like, let's just have him be in the movie. And I'm like, wait, that doesn't make any sense.
I didn't even realize. I thought he was in the last one. Wow.
Yeah, his first movie was Tokyo Drift.
Oh, wow.
And then he's also, and then whichever one was after that, he was in that one.
Uh-huh.
So it technically takes place before Tokyo Drift.
That is so bizarre.
Anyway.
I just don't understand that.
I feel like, yeah, we can wrap this up.
All right.
Much like the end of Fast and the Furious, we're at the beach, everyone's having a good time.
Yeah.
It's time to say goodbye.
Well,
I don't have any missiles, so I can't blow anything up. Walk into the water.
So we'll talk about Mad Max next time, I guess.
We're going to see that movie as soon as possible. It looks great.
Well, let's talk about that, and maybe we can talk more about the Emmys.
We can talk. I promise we'll talk more about that.
All right. Because there's a lot to talk about.
There's so much to talk about.
Well, they have so many categories, not just for TV shows, but you have TV movies.
We'll talk about it next week.
All right.
Don't get
caught up.
Can't get you started. Save it. Okay.
All right.
So I'm Zach Moore.
And I'm Zach Boss.
This is Zach to Zach.
Signing out.
The end.